Hello, my name's Colin Bullock. Thanks for interviewing me today. Wanted to explain how to do a pretty simple little function. What we're going to talk about today is how to create a fetch request to an API and console log the data that is returned. Pretty simple, right? But what does all of these things mean? What do all of these things mean? API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is basically a collection of data that you can pull down and do with what you so see fit. So the API we're going to use today is SWAPI, S-W-A-P-I, the Star Wars API. Big fan of that series, have been for many, many years. So first thing I want to do is declare a variable in my VS Code. I'm gonna open a terminal there because I'm going to use it later to console log out the data. So first thing I'm going to do is declare a variable. Const is what I'm going to use to declare this variable. You can use const, you can use let, you can technically use var, but that's very, very looked down upon. Not a fan. So constant is used if it's going to not change. All right, if it's constant, right? Let you're going to use if you do want to change. We're going to use let in just 1 second. So constant, we're going to call it API URL. We're going to declare that as the SWAPI, the Star Wars API with that. I'm going to remove that little slash mark right there because that'll become apparent in just a second. So constant API URL, then we're going to declare with let one more thing, which of course is the extension, which we could actually do as a constant as well. But let's do it as a let just to, change things up a little bit. Why not? Why not have fun in this crazy world? So in our case, what it's going to be right now is people, because that's the first thing we are going to figure out. The Star Wars API has 3 different categories of data: people, planets, and starships. People, maybe the most boring. Planets and starships, way bigger, generally speaking. But we're going to go with people here just to make life simple for everyone involved. So now we have 2 different variables, which are going to punch in at different points. So first thing we're going to do in order to create this fetch function is to do an arrow function, okay? It's a simple way to make, well, a function. So we're going to do const again. Really enjoying const today. It's a lot of fun to type. C-O-N-S-T, just do it. Just have fun. Fun in this crazy world. We're going to call it fetch all people. Now, you want to, of course, use camel case, as it is called, which is a lot of fun to say, which is when you're doing declaring a variable such as this, you do not capitalize the first word, but you do capitalize all the other words because you don't want to put a lot of spaces and stuff. You can do dashes and stuff in variables if you really want to, but it's a little gauche. So let's just capitalize all the words aside from fetch all people, so it's easy to read. Equal what we're declaring it. Async, we are making an async function, which of course is telling the computer that things are going to not be done in the exact order, okay? What they're gonna wanna do is wait to get information from the API, from the external source, before we go on to the next part of the function. Gonna cover that in just a hot second here. So, we're going to do indeed declare 2 different variables. Again, const. Const getting a big workout today. Big day for const. It's been training for years, ready for the field. Drinking coffee out of my Star Wars mug. Alrighty, guys. So const response, we're going to call this, because what we're going to do here is store the response from the API. With fetch, the function, what we're trying to do is grab information from the API so that later we can render it to a computer. Okay? Because most websites, let's just say all for our purposes, certainly all that are worth a darn, quite frankly, use something called CRUD. Okay? CRUD, 4 parts, C-R-U-D. Create, read, update, delete. Okay? Create is to post something to the website. Great real life example, Twitter, now X.com. Used to be a great example before they fired half the staff, but let's not get into that too much. Point is, on this, you can, of course, create. You can post things onto the website. Read, you can get information. That's what we're doing with fetch today. We are grabbing information, okay? Update, you can put new information. You can update already information that's already on the website. And delete, of course, is to delete. So like I said, today we are going to be talking about the retrieve information, to get, okay? And that's what fetch makes perfect sense. You throw a stick, you tell your dog to go fetch, it's gonna go grab that stick, bring it right back to you. In this case, the computer is our dog. We own it. So create response, fetch, boom. VS Code has a lot of cool built-in little features like that. Fetch, what we're going to actually want to do first is do await, which we can do with an async function to let it know, hey, chill out. Wait till the other information is presented upon to you. Fetch. And then we are going to do a string literal here, which is backticks around it. It's a simple way to tell a computer basically, hey, some of this stuff you're going to read as variables, some you're just going to read as a string, okay? So first thing we're going to do here is put in the variable for API URL. Then, since we want people specifically, we're going to do a slash, then the variable for the extension. And you'll see in a second, we can change this. In fact, I'm going to call this, instead of fetch all people, fetch all data. Because in a second, we're going to do something a little different. So go back to there. Then we're going to do const. And let's call this right here, data. And equals to await. And then it's response.json. That JSON is very important. What that does, information is traded, excuse me, through the internet as a series of strings, okay? JSON, what we're doing is we're taking the API information and we're presenting it in an array of objects, which is considerably more pleasant to read, okay? Then finally, at the bottom, we're going to console log the data. Boom. And you'll notice no more little red dashed underlines under everything. VS Code does that to remind you if you have not actually used any of the variables you're creating. You don't just want to create a variable and not use it. Quite frankly, it's rude. So console log data, and then it's not really something that's applicable to us right now, but we're also going to return the data. Because the point of console logging is you can see it on your console. You can make sure it's working, but it doesn't really do anything, okay? Returning the data means that this function can actually be used to input the data in something like a render function, which is what you would use to actually post or put information on a website, okay? And then finally, down here at the bottom, we are going to declare the function so we can actually use it. So in my VS Code, I have to cd into the right folder here so I can console log the data. cd 23. There you go. And then we're going to node it on out. It might take a hot second because we're retrieving a lot of data here. Be patient, talk amongst yourself. How's the weather? There we go. We have all of these people down here in my console log. Number 82, null. So here we have Luke Skywalker, height 172, mass 77. Now look at this. If I were to change the extension to be starships, then now we get all the starships. Makes sense, right? Y-Wing, TIE Advanced XD. Let's say I finally change the data to planets. And then we node that on out. And it's taking a second. It's a lot of information. Planets are big. That's how information works. Camino, Coruscant. Awesome. So that explains how to do a pretty simple fetch function. Thank you all for watching. Hope to speak to you again soon.